this boom will stabilize. We are all waiting. Everything had a boom, right? We moved from typewriters to computers to desktops to laptops. Did people lose jobs? People have chimed in terms of what they want to learn. Maybe the clouds, the Gen AIs, or any kind of other technologies which they want to pursue. So this is a charted roadmap for to invest on the right people. Creating a tool, having 10,000 courses, self-paced learning doesn't work.
If I want to ask you to identify 3 traits of the leadership,
The first thing is
how
right.
you identify the value of the employee?
Give them a situations where integrity is at stake.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the episode 35th, the Leader Speak podcast. Today we have a guest, Aritra Sarkar. She has more than 20 years experience in HR and she worked both product industries as well as IT industries. And today we discuss a lot of things like, for example, what is the importance of AI in present age, what is happening. And second thing, we discuss about culture and we discuss about how the leadership traits and we discuss about how to engagement with the employee. And one of the things why I understand is like the professional health. That's very important. It means mental health of the employee. The day one joining and the last day of the organization, how they're going to take care of those employees, very very important. And I got a lot of inputs from this episode, and definitely you also going to enjoy the episode. And she's basically from Bengal, but now she became a Bangalorean. She's staying from more than 2 decades in Bangalore as a professional as well as staying in Bangalore. Let's dive in the conversation with Aritra Sarkar. Welcome to the episode 35, the Leader Speak podcast. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and come on here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's my pleasure, and I was looking forward to it.
I know you're very, very busy. I'll be chasing you from last couple of months, and at last you agree that to come and share your journey.
I'm sure the feelings are mutual, and it's been happening that way. But finally, we made it, and definitely looking forward towards more deeper conversations ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Let's begin with your personal journey. Like I want to know where you born, what your education, what your parents are doing. Just talk about yourself first, then you can build that.
Sure. So I belong to a place called Asansol in West Bengal,
Okay.
which is an industrial belt.
Okay.
Born and brought up there, and with my parents around. My dad is no more, and he was part of Coal India Limited. He worked for Coal India,
Okay.
and my mom was a housewife always. So ideally, what happened is I did my studies over there, majorly my schooling and grads there, and then I moved to Bangalore.
Okay.
So that journey there in Asansol, the values which I've received, the culture which has been born, the ecosystem which I was born in,
Okay.
and actually made me what I am today in terms of as my strength.
Okay.
Right. So done my schooling there in Assembly of God Church, which is a convent there, and then moved to the college. And that strong network of friends, right, which you build from when you're born,
Okay.
that makes you stronger as an individual now. So that network is still with me at this point of time,
Oh, amazing.
where of course my mom dad's blessings are always there, and that's how my journey began as a kid, and then now a professional. So I'll tell you, while you asked me this, I remember my dad used to at that point of time, there used to be files, right?
Yeah, correct.
And the briefcase.
Got
He
it.
used to carry that to office every day. And I used to see him and observe. I was like always, oh, I want to become him. I want to become him. How do I become him? And finally, my journey started that I took humanities. He was an engineer. I'm not getting into the engineering field or a
technical,
medical
yeah,
field.
okay.
How do I get it in there? And then came the management field, which I opted for, right? And that's how he has been my inspiration, my dad,
I think
in terms
he's a
of
role model for you, right?
in terms of because the kind of conversations he used to have was not a corporate, right? It's more a coal belt industry, dealing with the contractors, dealing with the laborers, dealing with various types of people and
Amazing,
stakeholders,
amazing.
right?
Yeah.
So that difficult hardships I have seen in terms of his conversation. So
Okay.
I feel that journey all began there, and finally it materialized to what I'm here. So
Great.
that's where my childhood was always, and I'm very fond of that in terms of because your preliminary foundation and basics are built by your school, your teachers. The values are built by your family, right? So everything together is what Aratra is.
Great. Yeah. I think I know. I interact so many people, and
Right,
especially for the North India
right,
people, and
right,
they love Bangalore. Okay,
right,
and definitely you also came to Bangalore for
right.
masters, right?
Yes,
And when you from North, you had an opportunity to go to Delhi or Mumbai.
yes.
What made you to choose Bangalore?
Right, I know. I mean, when I was, wanting to pursue my masters, ideally my MBA, I was very focused in grads only, in graduation only. I thought I'll pursue my masters, while my friends and all they pursued masters in whatever subjects they have taken in the graduation. Like I did my English honors in as part of my bachelor's. So
Okay.
many of them wanted to pursue further, and
Okay.
many of them has actually pursued PhD, and they have done it also.
Got
So
it.
my field was completely different. As I said, my focus was
Management,
what
yeah.
I'm management because I've seen my dad and I wanted to. So when I was giving my interests and all, right, so the opportunities came. You can apply for in Kolkata, you can apply for in North, and of course Bangalore was also one of them. So ideally I've heard a lot at that point of time. Bangalore was booming with IT,
Yeah, absolutely.
and all the engineering folks used to flock to the engineering colleges in Bangalore, etc. And I've heard so much, right? And that's when I thought that let's venture to the southern part of the country. And believe me, none of my family ecosystem has agreed to it. My dad was just beside me, supporting me that whatever my child wants,
You
I will
can.
help her in
Amazing.
terms of making it successful. And that's where I turned up in Bangalore, absolutely unaware of the culture,
Language.
language, people from various cities has come to the
Correct.
college. And we stayed in the university campus as well for a
Wow.
month.
Okay,
That was
great.
an experience in itself because I was having, got the opportunity to meet various people from various places. So, staying independent, taking your own decisions, you know, fantastic. And Bangalore is a culture amazing. You cannot compare it to any other place in India. Of course, you have to be here to understand that.
Yeah.
Yes, we have crips, we have lot of issues, which is always there.
Yeah,
And
definitely. Yeah.
but when you consider its people, culture, climate, food,
Amazing.
no comparison. So I am a Bangalorean
That's great.
wholeheartedly.
Yeah, superb, superb.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing. And after you finish your masters in
Mm.
HR, right?
Right. Yes.
And you decided you want to pursue a career in HR. Okay.
Right.
And as you told, like your dad was working as a management things, and you from there you already idea that I want to be in a
Right.
management
Right.
course. My question is like, okay, in MBA, you have an opportunity for do marketing or like
Yes.
HR on finance or other
Yes.
stuff, like operations and all.
Yes. Yes.
And you decided you want to pursue a career in HR. What made you to choose only HR? Why not any other profession?
Right. So this is a good question in terms of why human resource alone
Correct.
and why
Yeah.
not marketing. So ideally, I had a dual
Dual subject, yeah, marketing and HR.
HR. It was
Got it.
right. But however, I felt when I started learning the subjects, right, and when I started understanding OD, what's organization development is, how the corporate ethics works, and how the compliances are, what's the labor laws are, what impacts on employees' professional health. These are the things which I studied, and those interested me at large, rather than just branding and marketing and going ahead and deep diving in those areas. Actually, those interests itself, and of course, clubbing it with the values I've received and I've seen people around, along with my father, I felt that this is the best when I'm dealing with people. Why not understand human resources more, get into in depth, and go ahead and study? Because believe me, in my family, nobody has pursued
Yeah, okay.
an MBA at that
And I think
point of
they'll be in a
time.
technical background, right?
Majorly
Okay.
technical, there were accounts, there were everything.
Okay.
Not much have pursued human resource. So this was a initial new journey. But however, as I said, when I wanted to pursue something, I always had a support from my parents. And you want to pursue, you love it, you go ahead and pursue. And the subjects actually which was there as part of our courses actually interested me much more. And of course, I just want to add on, just as in school you have teachers who mentor you, when I was studying MBA, the teachers actually, the way they teach, mentor, also makes a lot of
Makes a lot of
impact,
difference,
right?
right? Yeah.
That they influence, right? They are leaders.
Correct.
So that's also one of those factors which has actually wanted me to take. And while I was doing my MBA, I did some internships as well, right? It was larger corporates only where I did my internships. So when I ventured into the corporate world as part of internships, I really started liking it.
Okay. The
So
culture of the
that's
organization.
everything together. I chose the subject on my own. Given an opportunity to go back further 10 years down the line to again pursue an MBA, I'll always choose an
Yeah.
HR.
HR only. That's
Yes.
amazing. That's amazing.
Yes.
And you mentioned professional health, right? Something. What do you mean by professional health? Like?
See, employees' mental health is very important. These days, it has become more relevant after the COVID stuffs,
yeah.
etc. Right? Earlier, whenever we used to speak about it, now we speak about it, talk about it. That an employee gets burnt out day in and day out, not having to have a work-life balance much. Right? As an HR, we can actually create an impact within the organization by working hand in hand with the leadership, building that culture in the organization, right? It's a stepping stone to understand that how an employee is mentally doing before even going at. So ideally, in previous organizations of mine, in one of them, actually we have gone ahead and done certain assessments as well, in terms of we will get to know by this assessment how the employee is doing, candidate is doing mentally in terms of his focus. In case he or she is hired within the organization, whether he or she will be fitting into those arenas in the organization as well. So mental health is what I was telling about. Professional health is very, very important, and we studied as part of our courses in bits and pockets. But when we have ventured after COVID, we understand it better. What are people's mind, how it's working. Every day we come, we go to office, we speak to various employees, right? They will come to us and speak about a lot of things. But there must be something in their personal life also which is hitting their professional. So we are not there to assess the personal front, but on the professional front, when they open up to us, we counsel them. We try to empathize in terms of their situations, not giving them a solution, but ideally talking it over, right? At times it helps because they are able to speak out as well, right? That's where I come from when I consider mental health. Not being burnt out at work, ensuring their work-life balance is there, ensuring that if we need further resources in the team which has a crunch, we have to help that person also having additional resources. And that's how we are actually helping the business at the end of the day in terms of their resource planning. Mental health is initial, which actually makes an employee thrive in an organization. And that's a very, very important topic these days.
Great. Okay. Yeah. Let's say I think you have a 2-decade experience, right, in HR.
Yes.
Now, let's say you're working for one company, like maybe they have more than 300 employees,
Yes.
and you want to focus on this mental health. Okay.
Fine.
Could you help me with the step-by-step process? Like maybe uh, it's like frame kind of things. Like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out, or
Right.
like however you feel.
Right.
Could you help me on those things that it's very important from how to focus, how to start when I have a 300 employee plus company?
Right.
You are like CHRO,
Right.
and you can just help me on that, like how to start, where they have to start.
Surely, very interesting. I think I'm amazed in terms of the question you asked. Nobody asked these questions actually, what you're supposed to do, what are the steps which an employee should take. Ideally,
The purpose of asking this question, because my audience definitely get some benefit out of this one. Like,
absolutely. See, the first thing when a candidate appears for an interview, or when you are having a conversation with the candidate itself, try to gauge in terms of the background he or she comes from, the values which he or she carries, okay, and what is that which he or she wants to pursue in the organization, apart from that mundane job description, apart from that requirement which you have. So especially there has to be assessments on that while employee wants to change organizations, yes, we have, it's a monetary benefit, it's an incentive, it's a lot of perks which we receive when we change organizations, right? However, when it comes to a fitment, right, employee fitment within the organization, try to talk more about his aspirations, his motivation at work, his personal background. Will he carry a backlog along with him while he is working? Does he have a ecosystem to support the kids at home? Okay, so does he have ecosystem where he can actually go ahead and talk to a few more network, or a few more friends in the network or not? Because if the person is not social, it is extremely difficult for that person to be in a team and work as well, because he or she will siloed, and the team might not feel great, the team might take advantage. It will be pros and cons. So you have to assess all these parameters before you hire a person. Now coming back to your question, steps by step, what organizations can do is, organizations can assess, of course. Once the person is onboarded, now the next thing comes up. Once the person, it is HR's responsibility at this point of time to have frequent interactions with employees during the period of 30 days, 60 days and 90 days.
90 days, yeah.
It's extremely important you have conversations. It might be difficult for an HR person to also have so many conversations around. Then managers have to be made accountable for those conversations, constantly focusing him in work. Now in between also, if he has challenges, you have to support an employee. Now we are working hybrid. Most of the organizations are hybrid now. That gives an opportunity for an employee to have a balance. Put a pause in longer meetings. Put a pause in lot of discussions. These status calls every morning, I see most of the teams across organizations, industries, they'll have those D-stamps calls, the status calls in the morning. Absolutely important. But draw a line there as well. You cannot have 20 minutes discussions to a 40 minutes or a 1 hour. That's draining. And especially with the generations coming in, they are very, very, they want to be transparent. They know how to say no. They know how to say yes. Unlike, what we have not seen in our generations or in the past generations. So we are working with 3 to 4 generations now at this point of time. Keeping a balance, that also is important. So as an organization, first step, assess the employee before joining. After onboarding, have those conversations. Until the person is not engaged, you cannot hold in. If you check the status, industry-wise status, the early attrition percentage for each organization is very high. If you ask me, between 0 to 9 months, if you will see most of the employees moving on.
Moving on, correct.
It's not about brighter opportunities. It's about the ecosystem which you have built across.
Oh.
So your mental health, professional mental health for an employee is important. Leadership is accountable for it. HR is accountable for it. And of course, the employee himself, herself is also accountable. So it has to be a collaborative workspace for an employee at large. If you have to really build a career for an employee there, you have to give him that provisions to thrive. So that's what I can sum it up to your question, saying that it's very necessary. Organization takes the right steps in having an employee onboarded. AI boom, we'll talk more.
Okay. Yeah, got it. Now, you one of the things like initial talk you mentioned value of employee. How you identify the values, like when you go to interview or when you have an interaction with them, how you identify the value of the employer?
Right. See, each organization will have its own values also, right? Certain organizations have 3 to 4 values on their own. What they will do is, suppose an organization has values as boldness, integrity, majorly these are the common one, trust, and many things else, right? So when you have the company vision or the company values as well, so you will need to gauge the employee on those grounds whether the employee will be able to align with the values that the organization have. Now, how will you assess that? By having those conversations, right? Now, we give case studies to a lot of positions which we hire, right? We give case studies for them to resolve. We give situations to the person, especially at the leadership interviews and all. We do quite often than not. At a managerial also we do it. We give them situations. And by those situations, they'll be able to answer them with boldness, or maybe they will think and answer, or maybe they will pause, or maybe they will say that, they will be very confident enough to answer those questions, maybe, or maybe they have prepared well and come to the interview also. At the end of the day, it also happens. But as an interviewer, you have to gauge all these values which the organization has, which is whether that is there in that employee or not. Because what happens is in during meetings and all, we have seen, right, two people talking, one person not talking quite, but are we giving that person also an opportunity to talk and
yeah.
not? So when the person is onboarded is one thing. When the person is inside the organization in a meeting, in a platform, give equal opportunities to the person, right? And then that traits, actual traits of the employee will come out. So coming back to your question, how do we, assess those values, whether that person consists, whether the person has those values or not? It is during the interview process you will get to know the boldness, the confidence. Give them a situations where integrity is at stake, where the employee has to trust the management, certain situations, hardships. If the organization is going through hardships, what do you think that the employee should have done better? If you do that, the employee will start answering those questions, start framing those questions, and you will understand whether the employee has those values system in him or her or not. So it is very important that this interview process now it's been taken over much more by the automated systems. We'll come to that as well. But these are the things which cannot be automated. Only when conversations happen, you will get to know. Yes.
Great. Yeah, I come back to the question again that professional health.
Right.
We're talking about step-by-step process. The
Yes.
first one it will assess.
Correct.
The second was onboard.
Correct.
Anything else you want to add?
Engage the
Engagement,
person.
okay.
Engagement is not only fun, engagement is strategizing as well. When you're doing reviews, talent reviews, when you're doing promotion panel interviews, when you're doing the succession planning for that position, right? Everything is a strategic,
Sorry to cut off.
Tell
Like
me.
when you mention onboarding, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days.
Yes.
The engagement will start from the day one.
Engagement will start from day one,
Okay, got
because it is part of
Part
those
of that
30,
work
60,
process,
90
yeah.
itself,
But, yeah.
right? So how do you go ahead and engage that person thoroughly in his or her entire tenure is also important. So we most of the time we depend a lot on the HR. Okay, HR will go ahead and have these conversations and do it. HR will make it possible. HR will build the culture. HR will, have fun activities at office. Of course, HR will have it, but business has to work hand in hand with HR to make things successful. So managers are very much a key for an employee to make or break.
Manager means to say other
Immediate
functional,
supervisor.
yeah.
No, immediate
As a
supervisor
supervisor, okay.
is absolutely responsible, for you. Because today, if this is related to the professional health of a employee also, today if I am loud in a meeting, I'm loudly talking in a meeting, it is not taken well by the employee. But if I have to be rational enough to say that it's not a great situation, what has happened, the customer isn't happy, and I think we all have to work together, we all are capable in making things happen, we will do it, we will strategize it. This is point 1, point 2, point 3. We will deep dive into the situations, then we'll execute and we'll implement, and we'll have a turnaround in a few weeks time. If you say this rather than, how can you guys do this, this was absolutely not expected from all of you, what a person will take? A person will take the first point rather than the second point, right? If you're loud in a meeting, employees will not listen to you. It's a direct manager's responsibility to, cascade communications in the best possible way. We all have our frustrations. It cannot show off and on. However, we feel that this is missing across industry now in terms of, because we are not training the managers enough. Because today I get a designation of a manager, from a deputy manager, from an assistant manager to a manager. Who is training me to take the steps?
Correct.
What a manager should do. It's missing. Industry, what industry says is give them training, coach them. We do it all.
Okay.
But when it has to be execution, never happens actually. What you read in books, it stays in books.
Correct.
So coming back, it is managers' accountability is very much for important for the professional health of an individual. Yes, that's what I will.
After engagement?
See, you have to constantly engage till the person is with you in the organization, right? Evaluation, the right evaluation. So when we do performance appraisal evaluation, we have that effect, right? Hello effect, biasness, right? Favoritism, all of these happens much more. I as an HR can speak it very, very, shamelessly. I don't have the filter in my mouth. This happens. This is practical because when we are having conversations, we understand that, some biasness is coming in terms of promoting that person. And we forget that there are many people, along with that employee who also wants to jump into this, who are really capable. But we see that, those calls are taken by the. Now, if you are not doing a right evaluation, it has an impact on an individual, the health. Okay, I'm not recognized well in terms of what I am doing. I am being told that in every conversation that I am great in terms of my what I am contributing. But however, when it comes to my progression, it's not happening. It's stuck somewhere. So it absolutely impacts me. So you have to really have career conversations with those employees. You need to give them the right roadmap for the next level. You cannot have biasness, maybe conscious or maybe unconscious. I don't know. It happens in every organization. So we have to stop doing that. We have to be very transparent in terms of measuring those evaluations, because those are the parameters which will affect. Because today, whatever conversation I have with my manager will have an impact on me. First and foremost, not want to stay back in this organization. I have mentally switched off and I'll move on. Trigger points, right? It is upsetting me. I'm going back home. I'm not in the best shape. It is upsetting me personally, professionally. So it impacts the professional health. So your performance appraisal, your evaluations, recognition is important, which is very important to reward and recognize people, because that, uh, otherwise it upsets you at large. Recognize the best of the lot. I'm not saying 70% can be recognized. Recognition is what you will earn by contributing. All these factors, and if you see, starting from pre-joining till now, what I'm talking inside the organization, these are facts. So if you have to retain a person, you have to put focus on the person at large. You cannot just leave that person just like that. And who can do it? Can HR do it for 300 people, as you give an example? Cannot do. Your immediate manager will know what I'm going through today. If I had some tiffs at home and I'm not in the good shape, your manager or your peers will be able to identify something wrong in that person, right? That's when you need to have an ecosystem where the person can open up. Managers needs to be approachable. It cannot be role and titles and designations. You have to become a peer to understand another. It has to be a flat hierarchy. Most of the times we forget that, as a manager, oh, I have the authority, I have the power. But we forget that, at the end of the day, when we retire, we all will be sitting on the rock having a conversation. It will be back to normal. Yes, we need a mentor at at our offices, but we need to do the right thing for our people, because at the end of the day, we hear a lot of things in our in the news, etc. People have taken away their lives. Their colleagues have been stalking them. Their colleagues have been saying inappropriate words against them. That impacts. You have to build a culture which doesn't have the toxicities, right? All these are, you can sum all of these up to the employees mental health. So,
I think these 4 points, or you want to add anything? That's
no,
four.
I think this is it.
important.
If we are
Basic.
able to manage this for an employee, we are a fantastic organization.
Yeah, I just give an example for 300 employees. May not be. You can, if you have a 20 people,
Anything and
50
everything.
people, 100 people also, you can
It's a
add
large,
these. Yeah, that's
from
very
larger
important.
to small, this applies to everyone. You have to take care of your employees. You cannot just say and come that, oh, that person is leaving, given some personal reasons, and the person has left. What about those personal reasons? See, I will not mentally switch off so easily. I will give time. I will want to talk to somebody, maybe manager or maybe some leader, right? I will want to invest time in my growth, in my learning. I will see what the organization is providing in terms of incentives, in terms of perks. One fine day I feel nothing is moving, and then I will move on. Nobody has paid attention to me, so why should I even bother?
Yeah, that's true.
So,
No, this is very, very important pointers what we discussed about,
right.
especially the mental health of the employee.
Yes.
It's very important.
Ve-
And nowadays, so much of stress is there. Now there is a lot of layoffs are happening. There is AI is coming up.
Yes.
A lot of these are very, very important.
Yes.
Mental health.
Very true.
And thank you so much for sharing. These are very, very important pointers.
Sure.
And as I know that I'm just going through your profile in LinkedIn that you work more than 20 years and you work both product-based company as well as
Yes.
IT-based company.
Yes.
And a couple of times you mentioned culture, okay.
Yes.
And how do you differentiate, like when it's come to product-based industries and when it's come to IT-based industries? There is any difference in the culture-wise?
Um, See, I cannot differentiate between culture. Culture is something which is a broad term, if you ask me. Culture is built by people, right? Culture is built by the various stakeholders we work with. Culture is built by the leaders. Culture is built by the business. Culture is built by what the customers' approach to our business are, right? Culture is everything together. Now, coming to your question, uh, as we spoke about mental health, similarly on the culture part, right? So the culture has to be very transparent and positive. So if I am a fresher today who have joined the company, right, I might not be aware of a lot of things. I'm still in my learning phase, but now the social media is so much buzzing that I read everything as a fresher also, which
Correct.
in our time, if you feel,
Very yeah.
used to read news, hear news and then read the newspapers. That's very much it confined to, and the books, right? Now they are exposed to a lot of things. They know what's in and around, what's running in one organization, what's not running in other organization. They also have that in mind, right? So they want to see the differentiator, which organization is different than the other, and accordingly. And now the choices has become less that is different because of whatever reasons. But however, when we talk about culture, starting from the experience the person gets before onboarding is important. A recruiter's face time with the candidate, extremely important, because a recruiter is representing the organization at large. That's where the culture starts building. So I'll give you an example. You asked me about IT and product, what's the difference, etc. Right? So one of my product organizations, when I was interviewing, the experience, agility, in proactiveness in passing on the messages, what's happening in step 1 for you, what's happening in the next round for you, everything on an email, on a phone call, on this, they had their internal system platforms. You can go ahead and log in, see the statuses. You are, absolutely, you are aware that where you're heading towards, first level, second level, third level, and you're getting calls from the recruiter also in terms of making you understand the complete position, what it entails, how the structure looks like, how the culture is, what are the kind of initiatives we take for an employee's career. So, a recruiter is having a FaceTime with the employee and representing the brand, trying to explain to the potential candidate about the culture of the organization. Now, once the person moves in, again, it is the culture how you are built. Now, starting from the communication of any business expansion, any new customers acquisitions, how our revenues are, how our company is gearing up for all these hardships. If there is a propaganda in place for the organizations, message it out to employees. Let employees know what the organization is into, what they are doing. It's not that I'm a developer, I develop, I do my coding and I go home. Why am I doing it? Am I contributing to the larger organizations? It is very important for an employee. As an employee, I should know that how am I contributing to the larger organization space, and that's where you build the culture. You give back to them in terms of their contributions. While they are contributing a lot, give them those incentives which they deserve if they have those critical skills. More often than not, when they don't expect it, more often than not when they don't ask for it. We have a lot of organizations will have those spot awards, but when we process those spot awards, no, it's not called spot. It's at the end of the month, it comes to the employee, or middle of the month. It's not spot. You one fine day you just go ahead and make it big, saying that this person has got something. It should be big. That person has contributed today and the project is fetched. So that's where you build a culture where of positivity, a culture of transparency, a culture where an employee feels it as a second home. We call it family, right? More often than not, oh, we
Yeah,
are
yeah.
a family. Do we really mean?
Mean. Yeah, that's true.
Right? So walk the talk. So when I go for those meetings, etc., they will be like more or less nobody told us like that. I said I understand that part, but it is how it is. If we are postponing a certain bigger steps we are taking, we are postponing certain promotion cycles, or we are postponing certain increment cycles. Cascade the information to the employee. Nothing to be hidden. The company will decide, and company will decide when. Give them the timelines also, so they shouldn't keep be waited. But because most of the time when I'm contributing, I'm expecting also the company will recognize me for what I am doing, right? I'm i'm aspirational, so the company has to come back. So this culture of uh, first is transparency, building that credibility, recognition, and of course in terms of investing in their growth. These all those four things builds a company culture. So if I have to tell you in a nutshell.
That's
Yeah.
great. Okay. And yeah, and okay, there is a lot of buzz happening AI around now.
Yeah.
And how do you reframe uh, succession in the employee when it's come in the age of AI? How do you do that?
See, for one thing, for sure, which I believe, that AI can transform the tasks, right? But AI cannot transform the trust.
Okay.
It cannot do it. AI cannot uh, uh, show empathy to a person. AI cannot get into that, right? So, coming back to your question in terms of the succession planning in AI, at this juncture, what is important is not build a succession plan per se, that reviews and all what we don't. Keep it aside because technology is changing every week, every month. What we should focus as leadership team is more on investing on the right skill for the employee, right? So AI boom is high. I as an HR, I am also told that you have to get all these certifications in place. You should know each of the technologies which are coming up. Is it helping me out in navigating in my HR journey? Yes, only a certain part, certain aspects. I may need AI infusion in automating my stuffs. I may need AI in terms of drafting my emails, building in the communications, right? I may need AI in terms of fast tracking a few processes which I already internally have. But do I have to know a coding or an AI processes for that? No. Similarly, for an engineer who is focused on building a product in a product organization or servicing a client in a service organization, they might already need a few technology in those projects, right? Why don't we confine and train in those specific segments of AI to that individual, so the project also features, the employee also is able to invest the right balance of time. If we have 10,000 courses given to the employee saying that this is a part of the our AI sensitization, and you have to complete these courses within these are mandatory, you have to complete within these timelines of 10 days time, I am overloaded. I have to focus on my project, I have to go back and just do it as a checklist. So it is important that we invest in our people in the right way, in the right technologies which they need at this point of time. AI has boomed like anything. Yeah, it has this, that, everything. So every week, I think once in 2 weeks, what we do in our current organization is we go ahead and share certain, trainings with our people in terms of, small snippets of small links where they can go ahead and study. Those are learning flashes which we release for our employees, right? Which is very important for people to gather knowledge in. But if we have to start pushing people to get trained in each and every aspects, it's no use. I'm telling you, it's no use. It should be invested only based on the needs of the projects, based on the aspirations, of course keeping a balance between the employee aspirations and the project needs, right? Otherwise, again, mental health, people will burn out. So it's very important that what we are focusing in at this point of time, this boom will stabilize. We are all waiting. Everything had a boom, right? We moved from typewriters to computers to
Computers.
desktops to laptops. Did people lose jobs?
No.
People were trained.
Upskilled, updated. Yeah.
Yes. So the scare that yes, certain calls are being taken globally, worldwide, but we should wait for those period also where we will have certain other aspects of the job also booming up, also coming up. But I'll tell you one thing, it's very important to know if you are really learning the right tools at this point of time and able to contribute in your projects, no company will take a call of asking you to move on. If you are learning, if you are putting all your efforts as an employee in learning a few skills which is needed, company cannot just ask you to move on just like that. There are certain calls which are tough, which are being taken not because you have knowledge, because you have not
Cope
upskilled
up, yeah.
yourself. So my thoughts on this AI boom will be: learn, your willingness to learn, and the right learning. Do not go for what your peers, what your everybody is saying. Stick to your mentor. If you have one, if you don't have, you should have one in the industry. Somebody or the else should mentor you in your career journey. Somebody would have been there who could have helped, or maybe your parents at home, because if you are young folks coming in, your parents might be also in the industry. Many of us nowadays, I think parents, most of the parents, they are from the IT background, which they are,
Yeah.
right? So they know it better. Have a mentor. Do not just lose your focus elsewhere. Listen to your leaders, listen to your managers, because they are also wanting you to be successful. And don't just think about the worry, and do your work. Do your work, with full efforts. Learn new things which has been given to your plate, or you want to learn additional. Don't burn yourself out saying that the FOMO. Most of the time, it's the FOMO, right? Fear of losing
Losing
out
out, yeah.
stuffs. So don't get into all these stuffs. You have focus, upgrade, and you shine.
Okay, superb. Now, next question is like, then what is the impact AI has on employee engagement now?
Engaging, see, I'll keep it separate, engagement and learning.
Okay.
I'll keep it separate. Of course, both are
Interlinked,
intermingled
yeah.
also. However, I will just mention that, having conversations with people on the AI, I mean, especially by the SMEs, is important. I've seen my CEOs also whom I worked with, they are getting into the various social platforms, and they are learning themselves. They also have willingness to learn, right? So ideally, learning is important. As a HR and leadership team, to engage our people in the right learning is our responsibility. So in the recent past, what we have done is, I'll give you an example. We have run a survey within the organization to know the employee aspirations, what employee wants to learn, and we have put down the skills, 10 to 12 skills which are running, and also we have put an open-ended statement also in case apart from that you want to say. So people have chimed in their aspirations starting across grades. People have chimed in terms of what they want to learn, maybe the clouds, the Gen AIs, or any kind of other technologies which they want to pursue. Now what we are doing as a next step, we are trying to correlate in terms of what they are doing in their projects versus what their aspirations are. So we are trying to weigh the pros and cons, and then we figure out the cohort where we will put them in the training, and we'll invest on them in the right training, and we'll certify them in those trainings. So this is a charted roadmap for to invest on the right people. That way, if we are able to invest in them and they come into these trainings, we'll be able to engage them better also. That's part of engagement, right? So uh, you know learning is important now. Figuring out what learning to offer to our people is important now, because if you have seen few companies in the news which I've read, in the recent past, is they have actually exhausted their learning budget. Many of the organizations in the first half of the year, many of the organizations had actually exhausted their learning budget, and they have now asked people to not use those tools anymore and focus on what they are doing in their projects. So you can understand, you cannot just say that you use everything and do and learn everything and keep it open for people. Ask people what they want, because they have better knowledge also nowadays, and see what you need in your organization also, because it has to be a partnership. So engaging your people better is possible if you are able to invest in your people better. And that's what I gave the example about what we are doing in our organization at this point of time. So creating a tool, having 10,000 courses, self-paced learning doesn't work. Invest in what is important, especially now when the boom is at peak.
Got it.
So yes.
Okay, great. Okay, as a CHRO, you have more than 20 years experience and you don't empower so many people. And it's very important to create a leaders in any organization, okay? If you become a leader, that company will go in a different level.
Correct.
As a CHRO, if I want to ask you to identify 3 traits of the leadership, what are those 3 traits you came across from last 20 years?
Right.
That is, you identify those people and they become a very good leader in their respective field. Could you
Correct.
help me on the 3 traits?
Absolutely. So the first and foremost important trait in a leader when we are
Identifying our
interviewing
empower, yeah.
also, it's extremely important that the first thing is what's not mentioned in their resume. It's what is not there in your resume. Give them the situations where we can understand what values they bring in, right? It is not written anywhere in the resume, in the key achievements, certain things, right, which they can actually articulate about, right? Giving them the scenarios or the case studies, right? It is very important. Secondly, what they have done when they have failed. Certain things fail in the organization, certain strategies fail. How they have come out of it. This is very important. Third thing, how they have inspired their people, how they have worked collaboratively as a team to make things successful. 3 leadership traits, extremely important. This is not in their resume. If you ask me, it is not written anyway. Resume will say what they have done in
Education,
the past,
background, experience, or technical
what they have done.
learning.
Now, these 3 you can actually nudge them in terms of providing them those situations where they can actually narrate you. No, now the first thing which I spoke about in terms of, suppose I'll take one of those traits
Right.
as example.
Please.
Yeah. Will a person really want to talk about their failure in an interview?
No.
None of us will.
Absolutely, yeah.
Prospective organization hiring a leader, we will not even talk.
Correct,
Right?
yeah.
So ideally, as an interviewer, with from my experience, I'm saying, we'll give a situation. Suppose your customer has requested you to deliver certain things within this timeline. While you did everything perfect, on that day when you had a release, didn't go well, and it was failure, and it was a risk because customer was dependent also on the third party. They also service to a their own vendors, right? They have their own vendors to service, and they have not been able to do because you and your team was responsible for this failure. How do you deal with it? Now there will be 2 types of answers. The first answer will come in when he or she will say that I've just gone ahead and told my team and asked about and did some risk analysis in terms of how it has happened. We did everything perfect. What was that bug which has created that, etc. And we just did that. Somebody else will not narrate. Somebody else will say that I went ahead, I told my team that all of us are capable enough and we could have made this successful. However, there was a gap, loophole, which we can turn it around. Can we do it in the next 2 to 3 days and turn things around, or maybe a week, whatever time, and turn things around again? Because we have to build that credibility in the customer again. Our company is at risk of losing that potential customer. So the way the things have been narrated to the team makes a lot of difference. Now the person will deep dive, talk to the employees, collaboratively work, make their hands dirty along with the team to make things successful. Or somebody who will just delegate and say this should have been done, this hadn't been done, these are the 3 steps you need to do, please get it done. Whom will you hire? The other person who is collaboratively working.
Absolutely.
But this is not in their resume.
Resume, yeah.
You will have to talk about it. Somebody, so we can give examples of our schools, right? And we were talking actually prior as well with you. I remember this. Like in schools, there will be tough subjects. right? So for
Yeah.
me, the toughest was. I hope my teacher doesn't watch me now. Okay, chemistry was. I used to feel very tough for
For
me.
me, all subjects are tough only.
So chemistry was tough for me, and while physics was very easy
Okay,
for me.
okay, okay.
It was very easy for me. Now people used to come and say, chemistry is so easy, you just have to solve and do it.
Formulas.
Physics, oh my god, it's such a tough thing. But the teacher who taught
Mm, that's
had influenced. The teacher was a leader. Believe me, whatever she taught, she's still there. Uh, I still love her so much. She taught in class, and I just remembered I never had to go back home and open my books and read. For chemistry, until the day of the exam in the morning, I'm still with my books. Nothing is going in my head. I really don't know what I'm going to do. That's the fear. And it is built by the leader, it's built by your teacher.
Yeah.
Similarly, it is, very much it is relatable to a professional life. We look forward to a leader.
Yeah. In the
But
organization, yeah.
correct. So a manager and a leader, we always have a difference. It shouldn't be actually. If a manager wants to become a leader, also has to lead the show, right? What will happen if if I'm loud to my team? I'm losing out on my credibility in terms of making things happen in the organization. Similarly, when we are assessing leaders, we have to assess leaders on these parameters. It's very important. And believe me, I want to call it very loud. AI cannot do it. AI cannot do it. AI will ask you questions, you will rephrase your questions, and but your body language, the how you're articulating, are you reading through? If it's a virtual, are you reading through and telling us the answers? Or are you able to give the relevant examples from your real time examples as well, real time life as well? These are the things who will gauge. Only a human being can gauge actually as an interviewer. Not everybody can do it.
Yeah.
So those three traits are extremely important when you have to have the leadership. Similar things are assessed during our promotion panel interviews also. How the person has molded the team. Is the person an influencer? Is the person capable of building trust with their teams? Uh, how the person conducts himself or herself in meetings? These are the parameters additional to your performance which are gauged when you are promoted as a leader. Because a leader has a lot of accountability. So leader is just not that designation. Yeah. Yes. So, and I absolutely I can talk more about this topic because this actually motivates myself as well when I speak about, because these are life's experiences,
Absolutely, yeah. That's very
right?
important, yeah.
And it's not been smooth. And I'm telling you, it's not been smooth. My journey also have learned in its steps. I have seen how people are conducting, how people are talking, how am I reacting, right? If some tips happen for me to ensure that I am again composed and back to my normal, it takes time for me. I take time a while off for myself. I do not react on the emails. Initially in my junior days, I used to react also, but I've learned it. You have to keep your composure because nothing is personal in a corporate life.
Correct.
You have to work together with the same individual, for the rest of your journey. So why burn bridges? Right? You might not be happy with a lot of things,
I agree on that.
and nobody is here to make you happy also.
Correct, yeah.
It's your willingness in terms of what you want as a workplace. But as a workplace, as a leader, bring in those trust and transparency in the ecosystem, which is important. Yes. So, very fantastic questions you have asked today, which has triggered me all those life's experiences again.
Yeah, now we are almost end of the episode, and we discuss about culture, we discuss about AI, then professional health and leadership, AI and
Right.
product bay versus IT.
Right.
We got more ideas like the topics what we need to discuss. We discuss, and now I want to ask you three tips from your side to the upcoming professionals.
3 is very less, but however, I'll try.
Yeah, top three. Okay, I'll
Top
put
three.
top three. Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay, so the first and most important thing is stay curious.
Oh,
It is
stay
extremely
curious.
important that stay curious about the new things, the new upcoming things, what is actually happening in the industry at large, right? Keep reading and gain knowledge. Keep talking to people whom you feel that you can look up to. It is very important that staying curious and updated about the industry and its trends, irrespective of your experience, irrespective of if you are just starting the journey of corporate life, right? The second most important thing is, what is important is learning. Learning is a continuous journey of life. So wherever you can grab the learning processes, in case it is assigned by your organization, in case if you feel that certain things you have to focus, talk to your manager, uh, do the learnings well, do justice to your learning as well, right? Because if you learn today, tomorrow you'll be just here talking the same as I am. So look forward to that. It's all about your learning and building that learning ecosystem within yourself. The third most important thing, wherever you are, whichever sector you are, whichever teams you are, have fun while you work, right? Have that practice of having, if you are in a hybrid, please go ahead and engage in conversations over a coffee or tea. Do not hide behind your system within and confined within your home and stay remote. If the organization is asking you to come back to office, there is a reason behind it. It's not because I'm a HR professional I'm saying that. It's because it's needed, because we need to talk to five folks, we need to engage in conversations, and we need to have fun, right? Those out of office talks which you want to, which movie is running now, who said what, okay, it's very important, because that is where you can have your me time, and focus back to work again. So it's very important what I said at this point of time. These three things, very foundational, very important.
Yeah, agree. It's very, very important also. And second, the tips what you give on the learning. This is our 35th episode, and majority of the guest,
Right.
they one of these tips is the learning,
Right.
and that's very important. Not the academy what you going to achieve in your academy. That
Right.
doesn't make any sense on presently,
Right.
because how you going to upskill yourself? How you
Exactly.
going to focus on something that trend is happening, like for example AI, how are you going to learn those AI tools
Yes.
as a person, even though if you're a rank student, even
Right.
though you are a very average or you are fail student, doesn't make any sense at all.
Correct.
Because how are you going to present, upskill yourself, that's huge difference. That's going to
Absolutely.
impact your life. That's what I
Agree,
understand.
agree.
And
Absolutely, I agree
yeah.
to what you said.
Yeah,
Very, very awesomely, you have summarized the learning bit. And believe me, now we have become, all of us have become generalist, ideally. We all have to learn the same language of AI.
correct.
So, ideally, using the AI to our strength is important while you are having your learning journey. What is important, do it. What can, stay behind, let it be behind. Pick it up at some other juncture or point of time. So, don't overburden yourself. My funda is very, very clear. Stay curious, keep learning, have fun.
Superb, amazing, amazing. And thank you so much for coming, Aritra. It's been great conversation with you from last couple of minutes, and I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. Thank you so much. And you, it's not like that you share your experience. That's very, very important, because that connects the audience for us, and definitely they're going to take a lot of takeaway from this episode. And once again, thank you so much for coming to this episode.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure for me to be here and talk about my journey as well. We seldom do that in our lives, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's amazing questions you have brought in, so relevant, and I got inspired too in today's episode.
Thank you so much,
so
Aritra.
much.
Thank you so much. This is our sustainable brand called Rafter, just for
Awesome.
you. Thank you so much for
Awesome.
coming.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy, and this is a sustainable initiative for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing. And I'm so much
Thank you
into
so
these.
much for
and
coming.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much.
Thank you.
Here are my 3 takeaway from this episode. The first one is the professional health. This is something I felt very good to understand what do you mean by professional health. They talk about a lot of things, like how the onboarding is going to happen, how they're going to take care of their mental health at the time of 30, 60, and 90 days. And at the time of joining, as well as uh, how you're going to assess the entire process. That is something I felt really good. How that evolve, they're going to evolve those areas of professional health, because nowadays so much uh, young, especially young employer, young people taking drastic steps that is not useful for the society. And it's very important as an organization, as a HR, how you going to manage employee well-being. That's one of the takeaway from this episode. The second one is L&D. This is 35th episode, but majority of the guests, this is one of the major area they focus on L&D, learning and development. I also believe in that. It's very, very important. It doesn't make any sense for you if you have a first rank or first distinction or first class or second class, third class or fail student. It doesn't make any difference when you have academy. It makes a difference how you go to upskill yourself. That's very, very important. If you are HR, if you are in marketing or sales, whatever field, it's very important how you going to update yourself in a present trend. If you are marketing, what are the new marketing strategy you're going to learn? How you going to focus? That's very important. It's very important how you going to learn and development. It's very important. You need to work on yourself. This is the second takeaway from the episode. The third one is leadership traits. And when we had a conversation, this is one of the things I understand is very important how to identify leaders. Any organization who are head of the department, it's very important how you're going to build your second line leader, how you want to identify the leader's quality in there, and how can you improve on that. That's very important. Some of the traits what you talk about, empower, or what's not there in resume. Then second is how you going to be collaborate and how you going to build trust within the team. These are things. And how to handle failure. This is very, very important. No one going to mention in a resume that okay, I'm failed. No one. But it's very important how you're going to handle when you are a failure, and how you're going to overcome those failure to make. You should analyze, you should understand what I went through that one. It's very important to identify the person. As if you want to be leader, you should know how to handle the failure. These are a couple of traits I understand from this conversation. If you like this episode, please do subscribe and share with your professional friend. See you in the next episode.